Hello and welcome back to ERU, where we round up the biggest results and talking points from across European football. Joining me today on this Monday morning, it's Henry Hill. How are you, Henry?
I'm really well. Thank you, Dougie. Yeah, I mean, got to spend Mother's Day yesterday with my mum. I hope everyone else was lucky enough to get the same. I'm living at home, I should say. Hence, I think in the comments I've seen some of you mentioning my pretty shoddy curtains behind. That's not my stylistic choice, I must say. But no, it was great. And I loved Ian Nacho's interview as well after that game. I thought that was class when he sort of thanked mums all around the world for his hat-trick. But anyway, Dougie, enough about me. Let's talk about you and the Papa John's trophy. You must be riding high. Some dreams do come true, even for Sunderland, it seems.
Absolutely. I thought I wouldn't actually care, considering it was the Papa John's trophy final, formerly the Johnston's Paint, formerly the Checker Trade. But actually, when it came down to it, despite the fact we were playing League 2 opposition, I really minded. And I just thought it was pretty much a lose-lose for Sunderland, because if we won, everyone would be like, yeah, you beat a League 2 opposition. But if we lost, it would have been absolute hell to pay. So, no, I was delighted. Lyndon Gooch got the winning goal, and Sunderland got their first trophy since 1973, no matter how small it is. But yeah, now we go back to focusing on promotion, which looks like it's in our hands too. So it's an exciting time for Sunderland fans, but a less exciting time for fans of Juventus, because our story of the week gets suggested by @Swagato is back. What's going down? Because there's concern over their star man's future, Henry.
Yeah, so obviously, even in recent weeks on the channel, we've been talking about that move to Juventus, whether or not he'd be satisfied with it. Well, an interesting twist. According to Corriere dello Sport, Juventus will accept an offer as low as £25 million to part way with Cristiano Ronaldo, now 36, because he's reportedly paid £28 million per season. Remember, Juventus had a bit of a tricky time last week, knocked out by FC Porto. They did recover to beat Cagliari away 3-1. First half hat-trick from the man himself, and maybe we'll get onto that in a bit. But yeah, a really interesting development there. Zinedine Zidane, he's refused to be drawn into the speculation at the weekend, saying right now he's a Juventus player and he's doing really well there. Well, continuing to say, I can only say that he is a Juventus player and we have to respect that. So kind of what you'd expect. But, you know, there are rumours that Jorge Mendes, the super coach, that he's trying to engineer potentially a move away from Turin for Ronaldo. And, I mean, according to high-profile Italian journalist Emanuele Gamba, he told Calcio Mercato last week that Mendes had even offered Ronaldo to Manchester United last summer. And then to add even more spice to this kind of rumour, during a Q&A on United's website, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said he'd take Ronaldo in his team for sure, calling him the best player in the world alongside Messi for the last 10-15 years. Not sure how much we've really learnt from that statement, truth be told. Obviously you would. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of, when you consider the context, it's like entirely believable scenarios, this rumour, whatever it may be. I can completely kind of see this, but obviously Juventus are going to defend their interest in this one. Juve director Fabio Paratici, he's come out and said that Ronaldo's the future of Juventus. I mean, I'm not quite sure about that, but he's poured cold water on the speculation prior to the club's 3-1 win over Cagliari, telling Sky Italia it's a privilege to have him. Without doubt, he represents our club, our future, etc. I think he's only got, 1 year left on his deal there? So it could be something worth discussing. But I also saw a bit of stuff on Twitter kind of confusing the idea of whether or not Ronaldo's finished with whether or not Ronaldo's time at Juventus is finished, if that kind of makes sense. Because people go, oh, he's 36, why would you sign him? But, I mean, dude, let's face it, he's still an absolute monster, isn't he?
Absolutely. I mean, his record at Juventus, you know, at 36 is still absolutely outstanding. He scored 95 goals and assisted 22 in 122 games for the club since joining them. That averages at 0.96 goal contributions per game, so pretty much you can rely on a goal and assist every time he steps onto the field for the old lady. And those goals obviously included that first half hat-trick against Cagliari on Sunday. That took them to within 1 point of AC Milan, who lost 1-0 to Napoli. But they've still got a game in hand, Juve, and it now looks like they're favourites for that second spot. They're still a massive 10 points behind Inter Milan, who beat Torino. Looks like Serie A title is sewn up, but if Juve were to finish second, considering the transitional year that they've gone through, I think that's a pretty good season. And a lot of that would come down to Ronaldo as well. I mean, he's now taken his career tally to 770 career goals, 3 clear of Pele's 767, just incredible. And for people saying he's 36, you don't necessarily want to do this, he's not really a normal 36-year-old. He is still incredibly fit. Since the start of the 2016-17 season, he's missed 21 games with injury. His longest spell out in that time was 4 games, and that was earlier this year with COVID in October 2020. And he's still producing, obviously. 27 goals and 5 assists in 29 League and Champions League games this term. Only Robert Lewandowski, with a frankly ridiculous 32 goals, has scored more league goals in Europe's top 5 leagues this term. And his underlying numbers are still really promising. He's still averaging 5.6 shots per 90, which would be 1.3 more than the best at Real Madrid, Karim Benzema, and 1.9 more than the best at Man United, Bruno Fernandes. Very creative still, 1.2 key passes, 1.7 dribbles a game, so every facet of his attacking game is still working well. He's averaging 1.11 expected goals and assists per 90, which would be the best record in the Premier League if he did return here. And to be honest, I'd rather see him return to United than Real Madrid. I feel like Real Madrid, if you need to kind of play Ronaldo centrally now to get the best out of him, and they're trying to move on from Karim Benzema, whereas Ronaldo, particularly if they lost Edinson Cavani, whose father is talking that he wants to return to South America this summer and a potential move to Boca Juniors. A man of Ronaldo's experience to play, you know, to sort of, I mean, they might sell Martial too, given his current form, but to sort of look after that forward line, as it were, for Ronaldo for 2-3 years at Man United playing centrally, it would be such an exciting prospect, and I'm all for it. The only downside I can see is he's probably not been as clinical as usual in the Champions League this term. If we're wanting to be ultra clinical, he's got 4 goals and 2 assists in 6 games, but didn't look at his best in the last 16 against Porto. He had 1 shot in the first game, had 5 shots in the second, but just 2 on target, and he was actually quite fairly easily nullified by that Porto side. Although you would say that that was maybe systemic down to Juve's sort of lack of penetration at all in that game, except for Juan Cuadrado endlessly crossing the ball in, albeit very effectively. So for me, I'd much rather see him return to United. Maybe I've got my Premier League hat on there. I feel like he fits. Man United have a much greater need for him than Real Madrid do right now. I feel like their issues, they need to sort out their defence going forward, particularly if Ramos leaves. They could do with an extra, some depth in midfield, some younger legs in midfield. They could do with some, you know, Eden Hazard coming into form, but Benzema, the long-term replacement there, could be done, but that's not really Ronaldo. I mean, so I'm all for this return to Old Trafford. Henry, are you in agreement with me there?
Yeah, I am. I mean, let's face it, he's looking for a club to help him win the Champions League. That's his main focus. I don't think either of those are in a position to deliver that in reality. But out of the 2 projects, I think United is way more interesting in terms of the kind of the young players and talents. And I think the overhaul at Real Madrid is greater than what would be needed at United. I think United are closer to pushing for it than Real Madrid. So I agree. But yeah, just quickly, just having a look at his Wikipedia page to back up what you're saying about his age. The only 2 seasons he's played less than 40 games in all competitions for a club level is 02-03 for Sporting when he played 31, and then 2009-2010 for Real Madrid where he played 35. Every other season he's played over 40 games, and that's not including for Portugal either, where he's played, what is it, like 170 games or something like that? So
mental. the
guy's a monster. Like peak physical fitness. You've seen Ibrahimovic. He's pushing on to his 40s now. Kind of similar ethos in terms of looking after his body. Ronaldo's still got it, and he can still certainly do an incredible job wherever he goes.
Absolutely. It's going to be really difficult to get him out of Juventus. I think they'll hold on to him as hard as possible. But if they're moving into a sort of more higher pressing side, a younger side, maybe Ronaldo, it's the time to let go, particularly with this COVID-affected market. So I think it's unlikely, but for me, I want this return to United. Guys, do you agree with that? Or would you rather see him return to Real Madrid? Let us know in the comments down below. And let's move on to our result of the week.
So our result of the week comes from @K_Azad7. It's PSG against Nantes. Now, I got a bit of stick from McCubbin and Dougie on Continental Club, which you should check out for loving Liga, but it's gone and thrown up another weekend of drama. Dougie, what on earth happened at the Parc des Princes?
Yeah, we certainly weren't giving you stick. I think we were giving you respect. I mean, to be honest, it's definitely the 5th in my priorities. Not because it's not a really high standard league. It's just you can't have equal interest in all leagues. So it definitely goes by the wayside, on my opinion. But I'm going to try and invest in it even more because it's an incredibly exciting league at the moment. Not least because PSG yesterday threw away a 1-0 lead to lose 2-1 at home to 18th place Nantes and slipped 3 points behind Lille, the leaders at the moment, who drew 0-0 with Monaco earlier on Sunday. The game we previewed on Continental Club didn't end up being the thriller. Actually, no one really predicted a thriller, but we expected a few goals. But Lille keep that advantage at the top. PSG, though, in this game, they went ahead in the 42nd minute through Draxler. That was his 4th Ligue 1 goal this term. But counter-attack goals from Kolo Muani and Moses Simon condemned them to their 7th league defeat of the season and their 2nd consecutive at home. To make matters worse, on an issue away from football, Di Maria had to be substituted after 62 minutes after sporting director Leonardo, passed a message down to Pochettino at the side of the pitch that the Argentinian's family had been at home during a burglary which turned extremely violent, according to RMC, and there are even reports that his family were held hostage. Now, obviously, our thoughts go out to Di Maria and his family at this incredibly difficult time. He's been so unfortunate with burglaries. It also happened when he was at Manchester United as well. And you just feel like after signing that new deal on Friday, whether he stays at PSG is going to be up for debate now. Maybe he'll want to return to Argentina. But yeah, the most important thing is that his family is safe. And he wasn't the only victim of a crime during this game. It's absolutely, heinous to see, because apparently Marquinhos, according to AS, he was also robbed. His family were also burgled during this game. Absolutely disgusting to see, really. Yeah. And this was the first time in 9 years, going back to the game, that PSG had lost back-to-back Ligue 1 games at home. And it was a deserved defeat as well. Nantes had just 26% possession, but created 8 chances with 5 on target to PSG's 11 and 5. They created 1.2 XG to PSG's 0.9. So a really troubling display from PSG. And they were the sort of... They created their own problems, really. Mbappe played a terrible back pass to Kolo Muani, who stepped inside Marquinhos for the first. And then 12 minutes later, they failed to deal with a very simple goal kick straight down the middle, hoof downfield, and the ball broke. And it was a nice interchange, and Moses Simon tucked home. Now, their 7 league defeats this year, PSG, is just 1 fewer than they managed in the previous 2 seasons combined. And Poch has now lost 3 of his 12 league games in charge of PSG, with 8 wins and 1 draw. And his win percentage is now just 71% at PSG. I say just 71%. That would be exceptional in the Premier League. But when you're manager of PSG, it's actually not very good. I think even Unai Emery had a better one than that. Yeah. And that's 4% lower than Thomas Tuchel. So really troubling times for PSG. But obviously the most important thing is to send our condolences to Di Maria and Marquinhos for this, victims of this disgusting crime. But Henry, let's move on to Nantes, because what a win for them.
Completely echo all the sentiments that you just mentioned there, Dougie. But yeah, this was a staggeringly surprising defeat, especially at the hands of Nantes, who I think it's fair to say are not the most exciting team at all. If we look at their recent results, after finishing 7th, 9th, 12th and 13th for the last 4 seasons, they were in serious trouble of going down. This term, I think they're in the relegation zone. If we look at their league form, they'd only won 3 of their first 10 league games of the season, hadn't won any of their previous 18 in the league, dating back to the 8th of November. This was the first time they'd won at the Parc des Princes in 18 years. They last won it in 2002. So, I mean, the commentators were almost stunned when they were talking about it. And another little interesting fact to throw in, their manager, Antoine Kombare, 10 years ago, this marks 10 years since he was fired by PSG. He was the first manager that the Qatari ownership fired to make way for Carlo Ancelotti, which kind of kick-started this era of the sort of big names certainly on the touchline. So this would have been a really kind of bit of vengeance. A bit of vengeance for him as well. And he'd have been thrilled. His kind of main man on the pitch, Ludwig Blah, the 23-year-old winger, scoring 7 and assisting 2. He's had direct goal involvements, 30% of all of their goals this season. He was very good again on Sunday. 2 tackles, an aerial duel win, 4 dribbles and 2 shots. For PSG, Marco Verratti was arguably PSG's best player. 7 tackles and interceptions, 3 dribbles, 3 key passes. But you kind of intonated there. It's just moments of madness, really. We saw it against Lorient when they threw away a 2-1 lead, sort of out of nowhere. It was just 2 ridiculous errors. First one, you said Mbappe, very disappointing. A back pass, which got cut out. And then just really a long ball from the goalie, which they couldn't deal with, kind of bounced its way through. 2 great finishes from Nantes, I should say. They converted their chances really well. And actually, Keylor Navas was tested in the first half. But yeah, massively disappointed for PSG. 0 key pass and just 2 shots from Mbappe in the game. Especially after the week where they put Barcelona out of the Champions League. Albeit it looked a little bit shaky in that game. You'd expect them to perform better. But it's really thrown up the Le Championnat into even more kind of mystery, because, like you said, Lille got a really good point against Monaco. Mike Maignan with an amazing last-minute save to even stop that from being a defeat. And also Lyon, they drew at Rennes on Friday. So there was a chance for them to go top of the league, which would have thrown our EFD explained about why PSG are losing their group league. That would have made it a bit tricky to push that. But now it's sort of more poignant than ever. But it's very possible this could be the first time that PSG end the season trophyless since 11-12. But like you said, an incredible win for Nantes, kind of out of nowhere, in the relegation zone, kind of battling away. So kudos to them. But I mean, I think in my EFD explain, which I hope people go look out, I kind of finished on the emphasis that this is a kind of a one-off freak season for PSG. Would you agree with that sentiment? Because I think they're just going to go and rebuild and come back stronger next year.
Yeah, I think for sure. I mean, they didn't really spend much money last year as well. I think only Danilo Pereira was their sort of major arrival as well. Obviously, Icardi made that loan move permanent, but yeah, there's definitely improvements to be done there. I think injuries to Juan Bernat this year have really exposed their fullbacks. Neymar's obviously missed a lot of games. Icardi went through a spell of injuries as well. Di Maria has just signed that new contract, but maybe he'll want to leave the club now, as we mentioned in that first section as well. So it's not a simple time for PSG, really. And that investment, a lot of it's going to be tied up in getting new contracts for Neymar and Mbappe, if they manage to do so as well. Both of them looking for monster wages. They're still looking to stay or improve on their current pay at the moment, despite this COVID-affected market, which you can understand because players' careers are short. Neymar and Mbappe probably deserve a pay rise given their performances over the last 2 years, but maybe they just need to be slightly more realistic in this example. But Henry, I was going to ask you, because you were tweeting about that Mike Maignan save. Did you watch the Lille game? And if so, were they quite impressive? I mean, how did that 0-0 draw work out?
It was, I mean, most of the chances in the first half. I'll be honest, I watched the second half where really not much happened. It was a bit of a bitty game, but right at the end, Stefan Jovetic, who still, I mean, I always forget that he's still sort of knocking around at 32. Yeah. He was played in and he had a really diamond opportunity to win. It was a great save. Maignan got down low of his feet to block it away, but I think the consensus was from the second half that 0-0, they'll kind of take it. Monaco are a great side on a great run of form, sort of 9 wins in their last 11. So, yeah, and especially now with this PSG defeat, it really does throw it up. But they all play PSG now. They've got Lyon and they're playing Lille in the next few weeks. So a massive few weeks for them to see if they can turn it around and wrestle back control. Otherwise, Lille have a really good shot of going all the way this year, which is super exciting. I have nothing against PSG. I actually love Pochettino, but I just think for the kind of keeping the fire alive in Ligue 1, why not?
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. And it feels like if it looks unlikely that PSG are going to win a Champions League this year if they carry on playing like this, and they've got Lille in the Coupe de France as well. So there's a very good chance that they could end up trophyless for the first time since 2011-12 this year. But PSG fans, what did you make of this defeat to Nantes? And you know, what do you mean? What do you think this means for Di Maria's future as well? I think that's quite a key question coming out of the events of yesterday. Just horrific scenes. But yeah, get your thoughts in the comments down below, and let's move on to our star of the week. Okay, our star of the week for this week, we could have given it to Dusan Vlahovic, who scored a hat-trick during Fiorentina's win yesterday, or maybe it was on Saturday, actually, I can't remember, but he's continued his excellent form. Shout out Dusan Vlahovic, but we have to give it to Karim Benzema at the suggestion of @Faris1_. Why is that, Henri?
Oh, fair play to Karim Benzema. Yeah, I feel like he's almost single-handedly carrying that Real Madrid side at late. And another brilliant performance from him. 2 late goals, including a sensational half volley. Saw Real come back from 1-0 down against 17th placed Elche to win 2-1. So respect to Elche, actually. They put up a really good fight. But yeah, that's like you said, that second goal was just absolutely brilliant, wasn't it? Sort of on his left foot, Aridon's bottom corner in the dying moments as well. And the result, combined with Atletico Madrid's draw against 10-men Getafe, who are really struggling this season, that means Los Blancos have moved within 6 points of their city rivals and one ahead of Barcelona, who take on Huesca tonight. So if they can win that, they'll only be 4 behind Atletico Madrid. It's suddenly not looking quite as easy at the top for Los Rojiblancos, so that'll be an interesting development to follow. But yeah, Karim Benzema, 2 aerial duel wins, 2 key passes, 5 shots, 2 goals. And yeah, he could have netted a hat-trick if he just managed to connect from a Vinicius cross in the first half. But yeah, like I said, Dougie, I think he's, I don't want to say underrated because I don't think that's fair to him, but he's certainly maybe underappreciated.
Oh, 100%. I mean, they quite simply would not have won the title last year if it wasn't for Benzema and Ramos, but to a certain extent Benzema. And this year, with Ramos having missed so games, it really has come down to Benzema once again. He's netted 19 goals and provided 5 assists in 28 League and Champions League games this term. Get this, he's now been directly involved, so goals or an assist, in 42% of Real's league goals since Cristiano Ronaldo's departure for Turin, which is 76 out of 179. Real, their attack hasn't been great this year, as we keep on acknowledging on Continental Club. They're on track to score 65 league goals this time. That's their second lowest tally since 1998, only topped or worsened by their 63 in 2018-19. And they'd be completely lost, to be honest, without Benzema. But Real, they keep on, you know, finding a way to win games. They've only lost 1 of their last 17 league games, winning 12, and they face Atalanta on Tuesday, who beat Spezia 3-1 on Friday. And there's sort of 2 ways to look at this. That, yes, they were struggling against another relegation-threatened side in Elche, but they once again showed a way to win. And they keep on finding a way to eke out results out of pretty bad performances, which is A, troubling that they're having those bad performances, but B, quite impressive that they're managing to turn it over. So it's been a really, really weird season for Real Madrid, but Benzema deserves a massive, massive shout out. As you say, probably the most underrated player of the last 10 or so years. But guys, that's all we've got time for on ERU for this week. Let us know what you guys thought of our thoughts in the comments down below, and whether we missed out anyone for Star of the Week, the Result of the Week, or Story of the Week in the comments down below. And Henry, if they've enjoyed this, what should they go and watch now?
Well, like I said, go check out our Ligue 1 explained. Have PSG lost their grip on that competition? And also we've had a scout report that's come out about Erling Haaland, whether or not Chelsea actually even need him. One of the clubs linked with him. Really interesting look at whether or not signing Haaland would be their priority, which seems kind of crazy to think about it, but some really good arguments in there. Please do go check out that scout report.
Perfect. Thanks very much, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.